6.44 miles, 7 minutes, 52 miles today. Checking out the iSmoothRun app for the Apple Watch. It's also an app that's on your phone, so you don't have to have an Apple Watch if you want to use it. But it's something that I've been trying out because the native apps that are available on the Apple Watch just have been falling short for me a little bit in terms of what I need for tracking runs. Now, what I need is not that complicated. The only thing that I'm really missing from the Nike Run Club app, the Strava app, and the native workouts app is the ability to do lap timing. So every once in a while, during peak marathon training season for me, I will about once a week, maybe twice a week, have an interval workout or a track workout day. And on those kinds of days, I might need to run a mile at a certain pace and then recover with jogging while I continue running for a quarter mile. And I need to be able to somehow indicate on the watch when one interval ends so I can keep track of how I'm doing. But I also need to be able to see how far I'm going on that current lap. Let's say I'm jogging a quarter mile, so I know when to start back up again, so I'm not resting too much on these intervals. And none of the apps that I mentioned, Nike, the workouts app, the native one for the Apple Watch, or Strava, have the ability to do that. The workouts app comes close, but it's not exactly what I need because it only tells me what I did for the previous lap. It doesn't tell me, for example, when to start running the next interval again. And so that was a problem. A lot of you guys have been really helpful in the comments in terms of suggesting new options for me to check out. And one of the options that was suggested to me was iSmoothRun, a $5 app, I believe. So a lot more than I really wanted to spend. But at this point, I think I'm just ready to test just about anything to see if I can get it to do exactly what I want. Because while I love my Garmin, I had a Vivo Active 3 and I ran with that for over 1,000 miles, but it wasn't the best smartwatch. And the Vivo Active 3 isn't trying to be the best smartwatch at the price point it comes in at. It wants to be a kind of a smartwatch, but really a good activity tracker. And I think it hits that kind of intent and use case really well. The Apple Watch is supposed to be a really great smartwatch that I'm also hoping I could turn into a really great activity tracker. And I think this is pretty much it. But let me give you a quick tour of the app. The app itself on the phone gives you the ability to track a run just like you would do any other phone-based activity tracker. In the settings, that's where a lot of the magic and the draw for this app is. Everything is super customizable. You can configure the way that your dashboard looks when you're running on your phone with a number of different data fields, and you can edit those and change those around, click on any of those, and you can pick which of a number of different kinds of activity metrics are important to you. So that's going to be pretty awesome. A lot more data than I would ever want to look at when I'm running. The real magic for it for me is the way that it lets you customize the interface on the Apple Watch itself. And so in the settings in the app on the phone, you can customize what it's going to look like when you go on your next run. And so you could do 3 or 4 data fields per screen, and that gives you up to two swipes, so 2 screens worth of data. So I was able to get it to do exactly what I wanted. Really what I wanted to make sure I knew was my current pace, like what am I running right now based on the effort I'm running, how far have I run, and if I'm doing laps or intervals, how far have I run on that interval. I also put heart rate on the first screen, and on the second screen I put a couple of other data fields like total time running and total distance. So I went on my first run today. When you start an activity, it lets you pick or toggle between GPS tracking on the watch or GPS tracking on your watch and phone. So I think that's really great too. I don't like to have kind of double the activity. I just want the Apple Watch to do all the GPS tracking and let the phone do the phone stuff. And in terms of the information that you do get from this app, you get a ton of information. After the activity was done, I was able to go look on the phone to get a full readout of all the metrics from it. And you got cadence, you got average heart rate, you got pace, you got distance, you got altitude. All the metrics that you might want to see are there. You can of course see how fast you ran in terms of pace and cadence for every mile, and it also gives you the splits data that you may have created as you're going on the run. And in terms of marking those splits, there's 2 ways to do it, and this is one of the things I kind of didn't really like about the app. One way to do it is to set the double button press that you can do on most activities on the Apple Watch. A lot of times you pause it by hitting the crown button, and the button underneath it both at the same time. So that's one way that you could set to mark your laps. Or the other way you could do it is through the interface on the watch itself. And this was extremely hard for me to do. So you swipe left on the app. And when you swipe left, you have like 5 buttons you can pick from. One is pause the activity. One is to show you on the map where you are. The other is to end the activity. And the other one is to remove water or eject water from the system if you need to, which is, I think, only an Apple Watch 4 function. And then another button, there's too many buttons, is the lap timer. And I had a really hard time hitting the correct button as I was running, and I wasn't running all that fast, maybe a moderate pace at that point. I tried to set a lap, you swipe over, you try to hit that button, and you're running. So things, it's like 2 moving targets. It's like jets refueling in air. And I frequently hit the pause button for the activity rather than the lap timer activity. So that was a little bit frustrating. I was really worried that I was going to hit the end activity button while I was doing that, and so that was something that gave me a little bit of concern. And then that leads me to the other thing about the interval timing, which is kind of the meat of what I was looking for. It handled the interval timing and the data that I wanted to see perfectly, because I was able to configure the screens exactly how I wanted it. So that was really nice to be able to see that data. But when you mark the lap, it gives you a new screen, a third screen that I don't really know how to configure. And it gave me all the data for the previous lap, anything that I thought would be important in terms of distance and pace and time. All great stuff. But in order to get back to my current activity view, I had to hit a done button, which was in the upper left-hand corner. And it was really hard for me to reach, again, while I was running. What I would love to see is for the lap timers, if it would automatically go away. So that's the one thing that I wish it would do. But so far, it's doing a really good job of giving me all the information that I want in a user interface that I can live with and work with. It's not quite as great as the Garmin, but we're exceedingly close. We're so close to it. So I think that this is going to be one that I'm going to put a lot more miles in and try. If you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any other apps you think I should try that can solve the 1 or 2 kind of nagging issues I have left, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Before I go today, I want to talk about today's charity runner of the day. Today's charity runner of the day is brought to me by Kian Hanrahan on Instagram, and he sent me a link for his friend Richard Houston. And Richard Houston is going to be running the 2019 Boston Marathon for Team Impact, which is a team that is raising money for melanoma research and support. Melanoma is something that unfortunately has afflicted Richard's family quite a bit, taking his mother years ago. So it's a cause that's really important to him. And if I'm reading his fundraising page right, this will be his 31st running of the Boston Marathon and his 24th consecutive time running. So absolutely mind-blowing. That's amazing to me. I'm finding that like hard to wrap my head around. But congratulations to him on being able to run so many times and staying so healthy. That is an inspiration to me. And I've donated $10 to his fundraising cause, and I'll post a link to his fundraising information in the description in case you want to consider reading more. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?